love once thought buried deep in the past suddenly comes alive again at her sister's wedding. But no one, not even she, could have imagined that the biggest secret wasn't the old love, but the time she had left to live. You won't be able to look away from what's about to be revealed. He is my sister's fiancé. I couldn't believe what my eyes had just seen. Not because I was dreaming, but because I wished it were just a nightmare. My sister's engagement party, a night that should have been filled with joy, became the darkest moment of my life. I stood there, in a room filled with laughter, radiant lights, and cheers. I was going to walk away the moment I stepped in, but something inside me held me back. Maybe it was hope. The hope that I was mistaken. The hope that he, the man who once loved me with all the sweetest promises, was just someone with the same name, same face, same everything, except for the heart. But no, he was holding my sister's hand and smiling. That smile I knew by heart. The smile that once made me feel safe, made me trust, made me love with all I had, now belonged to someone else. Someone who shared my blood, my sister. The dizziness rose like a crashing wave. I turned my face away, trying to walk slowly, calmly, toward the balcony. The night breeze caressed my hair, but it did nothing to ease the throbbing pain in my chest. My heart wasn't beating anymore. It was shattering. I'm dreaming, right? This can't be real. I repeated that sentence in my head like a prayer. But then, a hand gently touched my shoulder. Tina, are you okay? That voice. The voice I had heard hundreds of times during rainy afternoons, lonely nights, and in tender whispers of love, now became the sharpest blade. I didn't turn around. I didn't dare. If I looked at him, I was afraid I would collapse. Why are you here? I asked, my voice trembling as if each word was pulled from a deep, bleeding wound. He was silent. That should have been the moment he lied. Some awkward excuse like, I didn't know you were her sister. But no, he only sighed. I'm sorry, just those 3 words. And I knew. He knew. He knew from the beginning. He knew who I was. He knew he was about to marry my sister. I laughed, a bitter, sour, and more broken laugh than I'd ever known. Then I turned around, facing him, for the first time after all those years apart. His eyes were the same, still beautiful, still sad. But now, in my eyes, they reflected only an unforgivable cruelty. The day my sister gets married, I said, trying to keep my voice calm, will be the last day of my life. He froze. Tina, don't say that. I'm fine. I cut him off, smiling softly, the most fake smile I had ever worn. There's nothing left to say, right? I'm just a piece of memory. And you're living in the present, with my sister. I turned away, walking as if I were about to fall apart, but with every step, a piece of memory dropped behind. Love, betrayal, and a truth no one knew. I'm dying, day by day. I returned home just past 11 p.m. The room was just as always, breathlessly silent. Darkness filled every corner, as if no light could ever dispel the heavy gloom curling up inside me. I sat at the edge of the bed, my feet ice cold despite the carpeted floor. In my head, the images of the party kept replaying like a horror film. My sister's radiant face, his tender gaze, their intertwined hands. They were happy, truly happy, and I was falling apart quietly and silently. We once loved each other, once believed that nothing in this world could tear us apart. I remember that final day clearly, the day he vanished from my life without a single word of goodbye. I had waited, cried my heart out over unanswered questions. Then one day, after months of sleepless nights, I received his final message. I love you, but my family doesn't approve. You're not right for me. Please forget me. That was it. No meeting, no apology. Just a message. As if my love could be packed into a few lines of text. I don't know what was worse, that he chose to leave, or that he made me believe I wasn't good enough. Because from that day on, I truly believed that I didn't deserve anyone. I spent a long time locked in darkness. Each day was a battle between living and giving up. But I kept going, kept smiling, kept working, kept existing because I told myself this too shall pass. Until the day I held the test result in my hands. Cancer. Final stage. Not much time left. I stared at that paper for several minutes, my heart slowing down as if my body understood. But my mind didn't. Everything stopped. I didn't cry, didn't scream, I just sat still. Silence is the loudest kind of pain. I thought I should tell someone, but I didn't want to. I didn't want my sister to cry. I didn't want my mother to worry. I didn't want anyone in my family to live with the feeling of loss while I was still alive. So I chose silence. Every day, I still smiled, still had dinner with my family, still helped prepare for my sister's wedding, like a good little sister, watching her happy. I wanted to believe I was doing the right thing. I would quietly leave this world, the same way he left me. But there was one thing I didn't expect, that my heart still loved him, desperately and uncontrollably. I thought I was used to pain, but when I saw him holding my sister's hand, all the old scars bled again. That night, I lay on my side, gripping the blanket like it was the only thing keeping me from fading away. Tina. I called my own name in my head, as if to remind myself, you're still alive. But what meaning does life have when there's no room left for hope in your heart? I closed my eyes and whispered, my sister's wedding day will also be the day I leave. No one needs to know. No one needs to cry. The morning light streamed through the curtain slits, soft as usual, but today, it was strangely blinding. I blinked several times to regain my vision. For a fleeting second, I thought I had gone blind. Everything before my eyes was white. I couldn't breathe. My chest felt like someone was pressing a boulder against it. I sat up suddenly, or rather, I tried to. My legs were weak. My arms no longer had the strength to lift the blanket. I was used to fatigue, but not like this. I walked into the bathroom, and in the mirror's reflection, I saw myself, pale, sunken eyes, dark circles like a tattoo that couldn't be erased. I gently raised a hand to my cheek. My skin no longer felt like mine. Life was slowly draining away bit by bit, like water slipping through my fingers. A wave of nausea hit me without warning. I bent over, throwing up something laced with blood. Not surprising anymore, but never something I could get used to. I tried to wash my face, brush my teeth, dab on a little lipstick, as if this tattered canvas could still be concealed with a few strokes of color. No one could know. No one could worry. No one could see me weak. I stepped out of my room, returning to play the role of the perfect little sister during breakfast with the family. My sister sat beside my mother, beaming as she spoke about her wedding dress, the venue, the flowers, and the orchestra. Her face was so full of joy that I felt both heartache and envy. Not because she had him, but because she still had time. I didn't have time anymore. I was counting by weeks, maybe even days. Tina, are you okay? You look a bit tired, my sister asked, gently placing her hand on mine. I startled, then smiled. The smile came as quickly as a reflex. I'm fine, probably just stayed up a little too late last night, I said, forcing my voice to sound cheerful. She nodded without a hint of suspicion. I felt relieved, but also heartbroken. I was lying to the whole world, but worst of all, I was lying to the people who loved me most. That afternoon, I went to the hospital alone. The doctor looked at me with a gaze I was growing familiar with. Sad, but trying to stay professional. Today's scan results show that the tumor has spread to your lungs. We could try another round of chemotherapy, but he hesitated. As I mentioned from the start, the prognosis isn't good. I didn't ask again. I just nodded, politely thanked him, and walked out like any other patient. But I knew I was no longer ordinary. I was someone counting down her life. On the way home, I walked slowly through familiar streets. People rushed by, cars buzzed, children laughed. And me, every step was a question in my mind. Who will cry when I'm gone? Will I leave behind any regrets? Will he realize I still love him? I didn't know. I only knew one thing. I didn't want to die with hatred in my heart. I wanted to leave this world as someone who once loved and was loved, even if only in memories. The wedding day was approaching. The dress was finished. The invitation sent. The flowers ordered. And I had also chosen the last dress I would ever wear. A simple white dress, not for a bride, for a girl who would never wake up after her final night. That day the house was bustling, as if there was nothing in the world to worry about. My mother baked while humming along to an old tune from the radio in the kitchen corner. My sister sat by the window, busy writing invitation cards. He, my ex-lover, my sister's future husband, laughed as he helped set the table. The scene looked like a perfect family portrait. Except me, I was misshapen. I was the hidden corner of that picture, unpainted, yet still present, silent, scraped, and shattered. "Tina," my sister called out cheerfully, "come check out the guest list. Who do you think you should sit with at the wedding?" An innocent question. Harmless. But to me, it felt like a shove that tilted everything off balance. Where should I sit? "I'll sit on the edge. At the table for those who won't be here tomorrow." I smiled, masking a sigh. "I can sit anywhere. I'm not important." She smiled back, not noticing anything unusual. But he looked at me. He said nothing, but his eyes no longer avoided mine. He began to look at me like someone holding a secret. And maybe, just maybe, he was starting to suspect. That night, after everyone had gone to bed, I heard a soft knock at my door. I opened it, and it was him. The night lamp cast a glow over that familiar face. The same deep eyes, the voice soft like a breeze. "Tina, we need to talk." I stood still, hand gripping the edge of the door. "There's nothing left to say between us. Don't be like this." He stepped into the room without waiting for an invitation. "Why are you avoiding me? Why do you look at me like you're about to disappear from this world?" I didn't answer. I just looked at him for a long, long time, as if trying to memorize that face one last time. "You're not well, are you?" he asked, voice choking. "You've changed so much lately. You've lost weight. Your eyes are sunken. You're not the Tina I used to know." Used to know. He used the past as a shield, but it only deepened the pain in my heart. "I'm fine," I said quickly. "You should go back to your room. It wouldn't be good if my sister saw you here. I don't care about what's not good anymore." And he said, eyes burning with emotions long suppressed, "I need to know what's going on. I can't keep living as if nothing ever happened between us." I turned away, eyes stinging. "Nothing between us? You were the one who taught me that. When you left, when you chose my sister, when you abandoned me with all the dreams left unfinished. Don't reopen old wounds. I lost you once. I don't want to lose anything else before it all ends." I whispered. He frowned. "Before it ends? What are you talking about? Where are you going? Are you sick? Tina?" I bit my lip until it bled. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. I wanted to say it. I wanted to scream. "Yes, I have cancer. I'm dying. And you're the deepest wound in my life." But I didn't say it, because if he knew, he would hurt. And my sister, she would be shattered. And I couldn't be the reason they both fell apart. I just shook my head. "It's nothing. I'm just tired. What we had is in the past. Please take good care of my sister." He stood still for a long time, eyes brimming with tears, something I hadn't seen from him since the day he walked out of my life. Then he turned away, said nothing more. The door closed, and in that room I broke down in tears. I cried not because I was abandoned, but because I had learned how to abandon the one I loved. When love became a burden for someone else, I collapsed in the bathroom on Monday morning. The sound of my body hitting the cold, hard floor was clearer than ever. No scream, no cry, just a dry, dull thud, enough to turn everything after that into blankness. I woke up in a hospital bed, my left arm tangled in IV lines, my heartbeat blinking quietly on a small screen. The doctor walked in, his face solemn, like a verdict spoken without words. "You should tell your family. There's not much time left. This is the moment to let go of what must be released and hold on to what's left." I simply smiled. The same answer as always. I don't want anyone to worry. That afternoon, I went home with a chemotherapy appointment slip in my pocket and a quietly breaking heart. I sat at the dinner table with my mom and sister, chewing each bite mechanically, swallowing waves of nausea and tears. They didn't notice, or maybe they did, but chose silence, thinking I was just tired. My sister spoke more than usual, her voice excited as she shared stories about her wedding dress, their honeymoon in Italy, and the bracelet he had just given her. I nodded, smiled gently, joined the conversation. like a loyal audience in a play where I no longer had a role. And I wondered, would I live to see the wedding day? Or would I be gone just hours before? That night I wrote a letter, not a farewell letter, but a voice recording, to my sister, the one I've loved my whole life and never envied, until love turned me into a bad little sister. I told everything about him, about the past, about the love torn apart by prejudice, about the illness I'd hidden like a debt of emotion, and about my greatest fear, the fear that she'd find out too late and regret would haunt her forever. I saved the recording onto a small USB, placed it in a wooden box, wrapped it with floral paper, labeled wedding gift, open after the honeymoon, a secret scheduled to explode once I was no longer here. I didn't have much strength left. Every step felt like dragging stone. The coughing fits lasted for minutes. I started gasping for air when climbing stairs, and my chest always felt like someone was clawing it from the inside. I avoided his eyes, and he avoided mine. We both knew, but neither of us dared to speak, because the truth once spoken wouldn't just kill me, it would also destroy my sister's trust. 4 days until the wedding, and I was silently preparing a funeral that no one would attend. Just 1 day left before my sister's wedding. The whole house was bustling with preparations. Mom went out to buy flowers. My sister was trying on her white dress one last time, and he, the man who once belonged to me, sat in the living room, watching everything, but his gaze held something different. I sat quietly in my room. The wedding gift box still lay on the table. Inside it, the USB containing my voice recording for her. Words never spoken, truths never faced. I didn't know how she would feel when she heard it. Maybe shocked, maybe hurt, but I hoped she'd understand I never meant to ruin her happiness. I only wanted to leave quietly, like the wind, without leaving a trace. That afternoon, I walked to the riverside, where he and I used to meet during our younger days, a place that once held the most beautiful memories of my life. Now, it held only the wind and the trees leaning like ancient witnesses of a long-gone love. I sat on our familiar stone bench. The river surface was still, like a mirror. I looked at myself through the water. Deep eyes, sunken cheeks, pale skin. I didn't recognize myself anymore. I took out my phone, thought about sending her a message, but then I deleted it. I didn't want her to know. Not now. Not when the wedding was so near. I didn't want to become a blemish in the most beautiful moment of her life. I had no idea that back home everything was starting to change. He, the one I kept avoiding, had accidentally seen my medication bag while passing by my room. Chemotherapy pills, a prescription from the oncology hospital, and the test result I thought I had hidden well. His eyes darkened. His hands trembled as he read each cold line. Metastasis, final stage. He said nothing, just quietly left the house. No one knew where he went. No one noticed he missed the pre-wedding family dinner. I was still sitting by the river. The wind was stronger now. I pulled my coat tighter. Inside was a void that felt endless. I thought about death, not as a fear, but as an old friend. A friend waiting for me on the other side. I didn't hear the rushing footsteps behind me. Didn't know someone was running breathlessly in the evening breeze. Had no idea that someone still loved me with all his heart. "Tina!" That voice tore through the air. I turned around. It was him. He stood there gasping for breath, sweat covering his brow, his eyes red. In that moment, time seemed to stop. The world shrank down to just him and me. Past, present, future, all collapsed into a single point. I stood up, stepping back. "Why are you here? You shouldn't be. Why didn't you tell me?" He stepped closer, voice trembling. "Why did you hide this from me? Tina, you're dying, aren't you?" I turned away, said nothing. I read everything. The test results, the prescriptions, the hospital admission form. His voice cracked. "Why? Did you think I wouldn't care? Did you think I didn't love you anymore?" I stayed silent. Tears streamed down my cheeks. I couldn't speak, not a single word. He stepped forward, grabbed my hand. "Tina, listen to me. I love you. I've always loved you. From the day you walked out of my life, Not a second has passed that I haven't thought of you. I let you go because I was stupid, because I let my family interfere, because I didn't have the courage to protect you. But I never stopped loving you. I pulled my hand away. It's too late now. You're marrying my sister. Tomorrow is the wedding. You can't say these things. I can't let you go like this. Not alone. Not in silence. You need to know. If I could choose again, I would choose you. Every time. Always. I sobbed uncontrollably. Why now? My voice broke. Why weren't you there when I needed you most? Why only come back when I'm about to die? He wrapped me tightly in his arms. Because I'm too late, and because I love you too much. We stood there, by the windy riverside, like two lost souls finding each other again. But time shows no mercy. Truth cannot be erased, and death was drawing closer by the minute. I leaned into his chest. I'm so tired. Love, I don't know how much longer I have. I just want my sister to be happy. I don't want to destroy that. He looked at me, his eyes filled with pain. I can't marry your sister. Not when my heart still belongs to you. I will tell the truth, no matter what happens. No. I stopped him. Don't hurt her. I beg you. Let her believe that you truly love her. Don't use me as a reason. I couldn't bear knowing I was the one who ruined her. He froze. For the first time, he understood that the love I had for him was no longer possession, but release. I stepped back. Go. The wedding is waiting. I will leave this place. Quietly. No one needs to know. I only hope you live happily. For me, he wanted to follow, but I had already turned away. The evening wind swept my hair into the air. My tears flowed endlessly. I still loved him, and that only made everything more painful. The wedding day, a day radiant with sunlight, dazzling with fresh flowers, laughter, and a wedding dress as white as clouds. To everyone else, today was a day to remember. But for me, today was the day I died. That morning I woke up with a wrenching pain in my chest. Every cell in my body screamed. I knew time was running out. I tried to sit up, leaning against the bed frame, my tired eyes gazing out the window where the first rays of sunlight filtered through the trees. Wedding music drifted from afar. Footsteps echoed through the house. Voices called out in busy preparation, but no one knocked on my door. No one knew that today I was battling for my life. My sister must have looked beautiful. I imagined her in her wedding dress, radiant smile, arm in arm with the man she believed to be her destiny. I couldn't blame her. She didn't know, and I never had the courage to tell her. I opened the nightstand drawer and took out a letter, something I had written days ago. The whole truth, a confession, an apology. On the envelope I wrote, "For my sister after the wedding." I placed it on the table. Right beside it was the last box of medication. I wouldn't take it anymore. There was no reason to keep going. At the church, guests had already arrived. My sister nervously adjusted her hair. My mother, teary-eyed with emotion, and him, the groom, kept checking his watch again and again. His eyes uneasy, his heart restless. And then, in the decisive moment, when everyone stood, waiting for the bride to walk down the aisle, he stepped back and suddenly ran. No one understood what was happening. My sister froze. My mother called after him. The guests murmured in confusion. But he ran. He ran like he had never run before in his life. He rushed to my house, flung open the door, climbed the stairs like a madman. "Tina, Tina," he shouted. He opened my bedroom door. I was there, peaceful, as if asleep, but he knew. I was no longer breathing. He froze, collapsed to his knees, then wrapped me in his arms, trembling, tears pouring like a stream. Why didn't you wait for me? I'm here now, Tina. I'm here. But I could no longer answer. The letter still lay on the table. He opened it with shaking hands. Read every line. It was a letter of love, of truth, a whisper from a heart long gone, but still loving to the very last breath. The wedding was canceled. No one fully understood what had happened, only that the groom disappeared. And then came the funeral of the bride's sister. My sister collapsed when she read the letter. My mother cried for days. As for him, he said nothing, didn't cry in front of anyone, but his hair turned gray quickly, and his face aged visibly. The house after the funeral was heartbreakingly silent. Every window left ajar, curtains hanging like mourning cloths suspended in memory. The scent of incense still lingered faintly, as if my soul remained, wandering, unable to leave. My mother was no longer the strong woman I once knew. She sat quietly by my photo each morning, her weary eyes watching the sunlight filter through the window. She gently stroked the frame as if trying to wake me. Sometimes she softly hummed lullabies, the same ones she sang to me as a child. And for the first time I saw my mother fragile, as though losing me meant losing a piece of her own flesh and blood. My room was untouched. Everything left as it was. The sheets still creased. The desk still smelled faintly of old perfume. Unfinished drawings still lay there. Beside my diary, the last page ending with a shaky line. If I don't wake up tomorrow, I'm sorry for causing pain. My sister stayed silent for days. The white wedding dress was folded away, packed in a box, pushed deep into the closet as if it never existed. Each night she held the letter I left, reading it over and over again. And each time tears fell onto the paper, blurring the ink. You knew everything, yet you never said a word, she whispered, not in blame, but in a choked confession, that she never realized how deeply her little sister had suffered, that behind my quiet gaze all this time was an ocean of despair she never saw. One day she knocked on my mother's door, leaving my letter on the table. I'm sorry, Mom, and I'm sorry, little sister. From today on, I'll live for her. Even if it hurts, I'll live, because I don't want Tina's love to die in vain. As for him, the man I once loved, he never returned to the house again. He vanished from town for weeks, then returned with sunken eyes and silver-streaked hair. He offered no explanation, no defense, no excuses. But each month, he returned to the riverside, the place where he and I used to sit for hours in silence. He brought a bouquet of white flowers and a notebook. In that notebook, he wrote letters to me. No one else read them, only he knew what they said. One day, my sister accidentally caught a glimpse of one page. She only saw one paragraph. Tina, if I had the chance to choose again, I wouldn't let go. I wouldn't choose to leave. I would hold you tight, ask you more, never let you die alone. But life gives no second chances, so I'll write until my heart stops beating. 1 year later, on my first death anniversary, he returned home. My sister opened the door. They didn't speak much, just stood quietly facing each other. He handed her a wooden box. Inside was the manuscript of a novel he had written, an untitled book about a girl named Tina, a love story broken by all the things left unsaid. My sister held it close to her chest. She's still here. She never truly left. That book was eventually published. No author name, no introduction, only one line on the first page. For the girl who loved me with her whole life and never asked to be loved in return. People passed it around, and they cried, because they saw within it the things they had lost, the chances they missed, the love they once had, but never had the courage to hold on to. And somewhere up above, if my soul can still watch over this world, I only hope they understand one thing. I didn't leave out of despair. I left because I loved too deeply. And because sometimes, love isn't about holding on. It's about knowing when to let go, so the one you love can live, even if it's without you. Love doesn't always arrive at the right time. That sentence may sound simple, but it carries within it so much pain, regret, and the silent tears that fall through long, lonely nights. We, fragile beings in a vast world, may encounter the love of our lives, but sometimes the timing just doesn't favor us. Some people meet the right person at the wrong time. All they can do is watch from afar, holding a heart full of longing, yet unable to speak a word. Some must let go because of circumstances, responsibilities, illness, or secrets buried deep within, even though their heart still burns with love. Love, no matter how intense, cannot resist the harshness of time and fate. And the most heartbreaking thing isn't a love that falls apart, but when one person realizes its true worth, far too late, when the other is no longer there, or when space and time have permanently separated them. All that remains are memories, fleeting images in the mind that make the heart ache each time they return. Have you ever loved someone so deeply that just thinking of them brings tears to your eyes? Have you ever stood alone in the middle of the night, quietly reopening old messages, reading and rereading the words of care, the sweet I love yous? only to cover your face and cry because now it's all too far away. We live in a world where time waits for no one. Each passing day quietly takes away opportunities if we don't seize them in time. There are words left unsaid. There are hugs left ungiven. There are apologies, I love yous or I miss yous, that never made it out in time. And then one day, when we return to where we once had each other, the place once filled with laughter and tender gazes, all we find is emptiness and silence. That person is no longer there. Or if they are, they're no longer the one who held your hand in that rainstorm years ago. Love doesn't always arrive at the right time, but that doesn't mean we should give up or deny our feelings. On the contrary, because love is so precious, we must cherish it all the more. Love while you still can. Say the words while they can still hear you. Hold the one you love while they're still by your side. Don't wait until they're gone to realize their worth. Don't wait until they walk away to frantically chase what you once took for granted. Life is too short for regrets. If you've ever had a beautiful but unfinished love, if you've ever been hurt because you couldn't keep the one you loved, you'll understand that regret is one of the deepest pains life can offer. But you'll also understand that what remains is a lesson, a growth of the soul, a set of feelings that make us more empathetic, more capable of love. Love may not arrive at the right time, but if you've ever loved sincerely, that alone is proof your heart knows how to feel, how to sacrifice, how to ache for someone other than yourself. You deserve to be loved. You deserve a happy ending. You deserve someone who will never leave you, no matter the storms or trials. And if you're still waiting for that, a love strong enough to overcome time and space, believe this, the universe is listening. That person may not have arrived yet, but they are on their way to you. Or maybe they're already by your side, and you just haven't found the courage to recognize them. Thank you for following this story. Thank you for staying with us until the very end, where we didn't just hear a love story, but saw ourselves reflected within it. If this story touched you, if something in it moved your heart, then please like this video as a sign of shared emotion, and subscribe so you can continue this journey with us and enter the next story full of feelings and depth. See you in the next video.